this morning. Now, what are fertilizers? Fertilizers are something you add to boost the soil, to boost your soil. Now, why did you need to boost your soil? Now, let me give you an answer. We are human beings. As we're human beings, let's assume we're human beings, and you just wake up every morning. You are not eating anything. You don't eat any food. You don't have any. It means you'll be deteriorating. What do I mean by deteriorating? You'll be losing energy. You'll be losing power. You'll not be able to perform all the functions you used to perform before. You'll not be able to function well. So same happens to plants. For instance, when you have your plant and you have your plant, you have your soil, you want to plant in the soil. You want this soil to give you a good plant, as in to give you a good plant, as in to produce, to give you something tangible. So, and that soil, if the soil is weak, if the soil is weak, your fruit will be extremely low, as in your yield, your plant will not do well. So you need to build your soil, and that is where the use of fertilizer comes in, as in how do you build your soil? Now, when you are building your soil, it means there's some feeding that soil. You see, most people don't believe soil is a living thing. That's why we have different types of soil. I know we've done soil in a course here. We've talked so much about soil. Without soil, you cannot get a good yield. Without a good soil, you cannot get a good yield. Without a good soil, you cannot get results, because it's like you want to build a house and you didn't do foundation. Even if you build on it, it's going to collapse. You can't even build on it. So you cannot crop, you cannot farm, you cannot produce a good crop without good soil. This is where most people make mistakes on the farm. Now, fertilizers means you need to boost the soil. Now, this is where we now come to different types of fertilizer. Now, what are the uses of fertilizers? Let's first discuss the uses of fertilizers. We use fertilizer to provide additional nutrients to the plants. It has to come through the soil, but it feeds the plants. So additional nutrients to the plant, because if the plants are not there, let's for instance, you are planting coconut, or you are planting tomato, or you are planting avocado, or any crops you are planting. If you don't see, you put a small seed in the soil, and when you put a small seed in the soil, it starts growing and getting big and getting big. Where is it getting the feed that makes it to go big? Definitely something is feeding it, and that is the nutrient from the soil. So if your soil did not have nutrient, and you put that small seedlings into the soil, it will not grow big. It will not be strong. It will not have something to feed on. So soil is a living thing. So the soil is whatever kind of, the way your soil is breathing. If your soil is living healthy, your plant will be healthy. If your soil is not healthy, your plant will not be healthy. So you need an healthy soil to get an healthy plant. You need an healthy soil to get good yield. So now see, if you keep using the same soil, I plant here this year, the soil give me all this nutrient, all the food, everything it has inside it. It releases it for me to produce my tomato, or to produce my coconut, or to produce my cucumber. After production, you remove that thing, you harvest, you go to the market, you make money, you pocket the money, and then you come back again and plant something else in that soil without feeding that soil. You didn't add any extra things to it. You did not give it any food or any food stuff. It means the possibility of you getting yield will be low. You know why? The first set of nutrients, the first set of soil have been taken up by the first plant you put there. So the second plant you are bringing in, without maintaining the soil, will not give you anything. And it is noticed that all farmers will be cropping on the same type of soil for quite a long time, and we are not maintaining that soil. We don't even count soil as anything. We just come there, we put tractor, you plow and you plant. The next season again, you remove those crops, you put tractor, plow and you plant. The soil needs to be revived. The soil needs to be alive to be able to produce for you. If your soil is not alive, it's not going to be producing for you. So you need a nitrogen-rich fertilizer I use for the greening of lawns. Organic fertilizer improves the texture and fertility of the soil. We'll be talking more, we're going deep into organic and non-organic fertilizers, because they are actually two types of fertilizers, which I'll be explaining. Excuse me. There are two types of fertilizer which I'll be explaining. The organic one and the non-organic one. Organic, so farmers use fertilizer to address certain needs of plants, such as nutritional needs. Fertilizer are added to soil it is the soil we add the fertilizer to. It is not the soil that will feed the plants. So that is how fertilizer works. Okay, so now we are going to be talking about the nutrients in the fertilizer. You know, as human beings, we eat food. Our food, for instance, if you in your house or my house, let's say we're eating gari every day. At some point, you will notice some children, their stomach will be bulky, their body will be slim, and a lot of things, you know what I mean like that. Same with plants. You find out that at some point, if you keep giving, for instance, if you give only nitrogen to your plant will produce plenty leaves, as in green leaves. That's the work of nitrogen, and there will be no fruits. I've done that before when that should be in 2017. I didn't know, so I went to pack a lot of poultry manure, and wet poultry manure. And when I packed the wet poultry manure contain higher level of nitrogen. So I added it into the soil and used it to plant my crop. You know what? My tomato, actually I used it to plant tomato. The tomatoes started performing very well, as in they were growing big, they were establishing. And after the establishment, I found out that the tomato were growing, they have plenty leaves, and I was so happy thinking, okay, my crop is doing fine. But you know what? At the end of 2 months, when I was expecting the tomato to be fruity, it was not fruity. When I expected to, as in it did not flower, it did not bring out fruits. Rather, it grew very tall and had big leaves, but no fruits. That's the essence of nitrogen. So the same way, like I told you, if you keep eating carbohydrate alone, no protein, no vitamin C, no other supplement, it means you will be deficient in one, and your body shape will change. The same thing with plant. If you feed your plant only potassium is for strength, and potassium is for strength, and to make it big. Yes, it will just be getting big, as in it will be the stems will be big. You understand? And it's not. So the nutrients you are giving to your crop has to be balanced. You need a balanced thing. And the most balanced form of nutrient to crop is organic. You know, why did I say organic? Our living things, we are living things. We, livestock, they are living things. So when we eat, we are eating our foods are balanced. Look at poultry people. When they are feeding their chickens, there is a recommended balanced food they need to give the chickens. So they struggle as much as possible to give their birds those recommended food. Those recommended food they are giving their birds make the birds to be able to produce a manure or waste that is nutritious, that is good for the plants. Now, do you notice the recommended food that the poultry people or livestock people are giving their plants? They are giving their plants nutrients like maize, grounded maize, with they mix it with a lot of things, maize, corn, and some other things that they mix together. I can't remember some of the names. Complete nutrients for livestock. So it's be able to produce good livestock. Their waste will be rich for crop to grow. But now, if that's why livestock, animals, goats, cattle, birds, and all these things, they are the best form of manure or fertilizer for crop. Okay, so these are now, like we say, they are two types nutrients. Now I said if you are eating carbohydrate alone and you are not eating protein, at some point a point will be that your body system will change. The same thing with plant. There's macronutrient and there's micronutrients. There's macro and there's micro. And for the macro and micro, you need to understand how. Okay, you need to understand how the two works. We'll be discussing it. I'll be shortening the video because of.
this morning we'll be discussing when the fourth week, the second day, we'll be discussing the division class. Why did I choose